Just when I thought I cannot find any more bleak and devastating films this year, this film just happens to come in at the right damn time. Directed by Francis Lawrence, who also directed the Hunger Games sequels, Constantine and I Am Legend, I have got to say this must be his best film yet. So The Long Walk is a dystopian survival thriller based on the 1979 novel written by Stephen King under his pseudonym Richard Bachman, which is also adapted by JT Mollner, who was behind The Strange Darling, which was released last year, and it is my top 3 from 2024. To me, this honestly felt like a little bit of Stand By Me, a little bit of Hunger Games, and to some people, they also think this was kind of like Squid Game. Knowing that I love dystopian survival thriller films, this was definitely right up my alley, and once I saw the trailer, I have got to see this movie. So this film starts off with 50 young boys in America who has to go on this deadly contest of a walking marathon, and they are not allowed to stop at all day and night, which ultimately tests their endurance and willpower as they go on to this journey in order to win the grand prize. And just like any other contest, this one comes with rules, and the first one would be not to exceed 3 miles per hour pace, or the speed cannot go below that. And if I'm not mistaken, in the novel, it was originally at 4 miles per hour, but Stephen King, he eventually approved the changes that were made, given that it was unrealistic to keep it at 4 miles per hour. So they decided to change it to 3 miles per hour instead. And if they fall below a certain speed, they then are given a warning, and there will only be a maximum of 3 warnings. And all 3 warnings has got to be within the 2 minutes. If they exceed that warning, they will be given a ticket, which means death. However, they can also earn their time back by maintaining the required speed of 3 miles per hour, and they can eventually restore that and remove all the warnings that were issued to them after maintaining that speed in a full hour. They are also not allowed to receive any assistance from anybody. They're not allowed to go in different directions aside from the ones that they have them on. And as ruthless and extremely difficult this contest was, there can only be one winner, and there is no finish line. With that being said, I could not stress enough how much I've enjoyed this film. It had me locked in from beginning to end. I was just deeply impressed by the amazing performances from all the cast, whether it be the main characters or the supporting characters. They all did a wonderful job, and everything else was really well executed. It shows you how their platonic relationships were formed during the entire process throughout their journey in this walk. You can sense their trauma bonding as well in this walk, and you get emotionally invested into these characters. I was basically instantly attached to the cast. It almost feels like this video won't even suffice in order for me to show my appreciation with all of these characters. I feel like I need to make a separate video just for them specifically. So for our protagonists in this movie, we've got Ray and Pete. Ray is actually the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was also in Twisters, and he was also in Synecdoche, New York, which is another Charlie Kaufman film that I really, really liked. And I was like, wow, that was his son. And we also have David Johnson, who was in Alien Romulus, who delivered his role there extremely well. I was also really impressed with his performance here. Knowing that he's a British actor, I couldn't even sense that in this film. I just thought he was really talented. Aside from that, Barkovich, who was portrayed by Charlie Plummer, I have not seen this side of him before, so it was surprising to me, to say the least, because I first seen him in Spontaneous 2020, which is, by the way, another underrated, really slept-on movie that I would recommend to anyone that has not seen it. He was also really good at that one. And Judy Greer, I have not seen her this good in a film, especially a serious one, because I've always been used to the comedy films that she's been in. But in this one, she did great. Another thing that really blew me away in this film would be the cinematography. It was absolutely stunning. It was breathtaking. The score was haunting. I thought it was decently paced. I wasn't bored throughout the whole time. For an hour and 48 minutes, I thought it was so well done. I didn't feel the length of the film, even though some people were really bored in the theater for this. I wasn't. I thought the dialogue was so well written. I just wish that I would be able to see it again with subtitles. There may have been some words that were exchanged in there that I really think I needed to pay more attention on. So a rewatch is a must need. I also love Heather was the costume designer of this film, if I'm not mistaken. She was in charge of distressing the colors in their costume. That way it blends with the color palette of their surroundings where they're at. I thought that was really, really cool how customized that was. Another thing that I've got to mention in this film is how shockingly brutal, extremely graphic, visually striking, and visceral some scenes are, and it will stick with you. It can get really traumatizing to some, so just be warned about that. But I absolutely love how insanely done the practical effects were in this film. 100% love that. I also thoroughly enjoyed the tension buildup in this movie from beginning to end. It doesn't let up, and even if it's not exactly adapted from the novel itself, which I have not read at the moment, but I will eventually, I still think this was exceptionally done. It was masterfully done, and I have no complaints about it. So as far as the ending goes to this film, I can see if the audiences would be a little bit divided when it comes to how they perceive the ending. To me personally, I absolutely love bleak, devastating, ambiguous endings to where there's no direct straight answer that's being handed to me. So that was a nice touch. I do not want a direct straight answer. So with that being said, given that there's no finish line to this film, it only makes sense for it to not have a single answer, and it's very open to interpretation. I think this will sit with me for a very, very long time, and I love that long-lasting effect from a film. Needless to say, this film is so grounded in reality. It has this authentic, realistic approach as a concept as far as where America has been and where we are at this time. If you really think about it, it does hit you really differently, especially with everything that's been going on this week. Like, it gets even more thought-provoking, and it gets even more unsettling that they're almost so related to each other. It really makes you want to appreciate life even more, and to finally come to that realization that violence doesn't really get you anywhere, and it's not really something to be grateful for. Like, there is no happy ending if that is where your head's at. Like, in this film, it just makes you want to achieve peace, to respect one another, like the brotherhood that they've portrayed in this film. It was so heartfelt, it was so emotionally charged that you can easily get carried away with their characters. It also makes you realize that we can take this moment, no matter how dark it is, that we can always find ways not only to be better to others, but also to ourselves. Overall, I still think this was a solid masterpiece of a film. Definitely one of the best cinematic experiences I've had in a long time in the theater.